8 o'clock.
Why don't we just all leave at the same time?
Because we have to leave right now.
Okay. Go ahead. We will catch up at some point. Am I taking the Subaru or are you taking the Subaru?
My mom, Hwei-Chen Pan, over there, and this is her ashes here, and you'll notice that it's in a vase, and it's a vase that my dad actually made here. My mom, Hwei-Chen Pan, was born on May 7th, 1933 in Chiayi, Taiwan. Then from the age of 8 to 12 years old, she lived in Japan, where her father was obtaining his engineering degree from Waseda University. Then during World War II, she came back by herself to live with her aunt. Meanwhile, her father took the rest of the family to China and started his engineering career. After World War II, the grandfather returned with the rest of the family and reunited with my mom. Her father owned 2 houses, but during World War II, it was destroyed by American B-52 bombers. So the family was left destitute. My mom eventually married my dad, right next to her, and had their first child, me, in 1955. Then my dad left for Sacramento, California to pursue his master's degree, while she and I stayed in Taiwan. I think I'm much closer to my mom than most other people, because the reason was that it was just me and my mom, because my dad was always away. My dad came back and became an associate professor at the National Taiwan University. He had a second child, my sister Julie, in 1961. Then again, my mom was left alone with the 2 kids when my dad went to America to pursue his PhD. In 1962, my mom joined my dad at Purdue University with me and my sister. Life was difficult in this new land for her. She didn't speak English, and what little money that my dad earned from his fellowship stipend was sent back to Taiwan, so we were really poor. When my dad finished his studies, we moved to Canada for his postdoctorate position, but we stayed there only 2 years before we finally settled on Long Island, Eastern Long Island. My dad became a research pathologist with the Department of Agriculture. Now, life was tranquil and quiet on the eastern tip of Long Island, where she raised her 2 children in an idyllic environment of beaches and sand as my dad's career progressed. When my sister and I went off to college, the empty nest effect became overwhelming in this rural environment of eastern Long Island. Dad then retired, and they decided to move back to their homeland, Taiwan. They stayed for 4 years, but they discovered that the land of their youth had entirely disappeared due to industrialization and rapid growth. Well, then they moved to California to be closer to me and my new family. Eventually, my sister and her family moved to California as well. Life was once again idyllic. Her children and the 3 grandchildren were all living in northern California. But this ideal situation changed shortly when I suddenly moved to Colorado in 1994. Mom and Dad were getting older and they wanted to live closer to the children, so they moved close to my sister and her family in Sacramento. They stayed for 4 years before they moved again to be close to me in 2010. So you're beginning to see a constant motif in her life that it was a continuous relocation from one place to another. They lived in so many different places. Mom and Dad lived here in Colorado in a mostly Japanese-occupied apartment complex here in Denver because they both spoke fluent Japanese. Dad was soon diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. His condition became worse and we had to move him to my house. But my mom continued to live by herself downtown. My dad passed away in 2014. And I asked her several times to move in with me, but she declined. As it turned out, she really enjoyed living downtown. So for so many years, she lived in a rural and suburban environment. But now she was able to be in a more cosmopolitan situation. She lived 3 blocks away from the heart of the city and enjoyed her daily stroll on 16th Street. Mom was diagnosed with cancer in 2019. For 3 years, we tried various chemotherapy methods, but the final chemotherapy was actually more harmful than the cancer itself. So she decided to have no further treatment. My mom, Hwei-Chen Pan, passed away June 21st, 2022.
Grandma's first grandchild. I was followed by Sada shortly after, and my baby brother is sitting right over there too. It's great grandchild number 3. In all truth too, I don't know my grandmother's history. And Uncle Chun, thank you for sharing her life and her history with us. But what I do know though is my experience with grandma. We called her Amma, which, and my mother can correct me if I'm wrong too, in Taiwanese means grandma. So we were calling her both Oma and Grandma too, which I'm sure she hopefully loved. But again, my experience with her, I think one word to basically symbolize what she meant to me and how she made me feel too. It was truly just love. Honestly, from childhood too. I remember my brother and I, we would love going to, because Grandma and Grandpa were in the Bay Area. We would visit them actually fairly frequently. And I remember we always enjoyed going over there because my grandmother, I do have to say, Alma gave the best hugs in the world. They were just incredible hugs, and we always knew that we were going to get them. And not just the hugs, she always had cream sodas in the refrigerator. As children, we weren't allowed to have cream sodas at home, but Alma always had pokey cream sodas. She would have these amazing rice balls, and quite literally to this day, they're infamous to me, and I miss them so much. I miss the individual who made them, but I just, from childhood too, she was so compassionate and caring, and only showed her grandchildren just pure love. And I just think of her too. I feel blessed, and I feel very lucky, especially for all of us being here today too, for all of us to have had her in our lives too. Again, that is a blessing that I will forever hold in my heart. So I just wish for eternal peace. Thank you.
So as Matthew said, I'm the baby grandson, even though by my hair I sometimes feel like the eldest grandchild. But yeah, my name is Chris, and I feel like I share very similar sentiment to Matthew. Every time we saw Alma, it was just nothing but love and care, and just the attention to detail that she had was incredible. And I remember just going over there, we just sit in our pajamas all day watching TV with her, and she would always have something special for us every time we got there. Most of the time it was cream sodas, and I think it was like the red bean jelly drinks that I still haven't had again to this day that I still want to find. I feel like a major way that she showed love to us was through food. So whether it was her, I think some people have had them, but like her legendary like glass noodles, her like pork and mushroom and bamboo shoots, meatballs and cabbage soup, her legendary rice balls, as well as the hot pot tradition for Chinese New Year's ball was always amazing. And just every time we went over there, she had something new for us. And I remember that there was this pink Power Ranger, which I probably played with till longer than I would care to admit today. Or going over there and having like bathtub toys and everything, and just always having such a huge fan. No matter what we told her, it was always just nothing but amazement and just instilling a sense of pride in us and a sense of confidence, and just always having another #1 cheerleader in our lives. So we love you so much, Amma. You showed us nothing but love, and we will see you again one day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlene, and you're gonna have to suffer a little bit because my English is not that, okay? Because I was not born and raised in this country. I was born and raised in Taiwan, and when I was 60, my freshman year in college, my mom took me to the United States for a visit, and the first place we landed is your home. Is in Long Island, and that was kind of a culture shock to me because first of all, I don't speak a language, right? And so you guys didn't really speak Mandarin. You guys are all English speaking. And I'm just like, how do I talk to them? But they were really, really nice. And I remember I don't know them. They don't know me. I didn't even know my auntie, Hwei-Chen. My Chinese just helped. So anyways, I realized that she is not really speaking English much, right? She was suffering language-wise. So I'm like, okay, great, somebody I can actually speak Mandarin or Taiwanese with. And what's interesting about my auntie is she mixed languages. I remember until like, I don't know, only a few years ago when her and my mom would still write to each other, she's always writing in Japanese. I guess that's how she was brought up. So with her language, you can say she's not exactly an English speaker all that much, but then she's multilingual because she would complete a sentence with different languages. Say, for example, I'm sorry, I just can't just stand here and talk. I'm always like, I'm sorry. So anyway, I remember when I was staying with you guys in your Long Island home, you guys are not always around, and your dad, uncle, he would go to work, and then there would be me and auntie. And then every day she made a feast. Like you can see me, I'm a tidy person. And then I would see this long table full of every kind of food you guys just mentioned. And I'm like, are you expecting me to eat this for a month? Are you serious? And she can come up with different food every single day. I feel like, and my mom was there with me. And I remember multiple times I asked my mom, how come you don't make food? I told her, I want your sister to be my mom because you're not doing a good job. So that was my first impression of her. And also because I came from a family where both my mom and dad worked, and I never had a mom, staying home mom with me. So I feel that special connection, like this is the mom I've never had. Just, I want you to learn from her, okay? To stop being you, be her. So I just always have that perfect image of Auntie Hwei-Chen, and just, it's unbelievable how she took great care of me. And I remember I went out on a bicycle trip or something and I fell. And my knee just kind of screwed up. It's like bloody and just messy. And because I was a spoiled child, I guess, or a pampered child, well-protected child. I've never seen that much blood on me. So I went back home, somebody took me back home or something, and your dad, he's very good with biology or something. He's a scientist or something, I don't know. And he was just like, oh, that's nothing, stop crying. I was crying like a baby. And he was just like, Taiwanese kids really cry that much? And then my mom was just like, you're embarrassing me. Don't cry. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And then your mom is like really having a hard time understanding how come this child in my household can get hurt, and she had the biggest fight with your dad. It's just like, you guys didn't take good care of me, and it's making her lose face, and my mom should be really upset, and I'm just like, okay, if I stop crying, would you guys, hey, adults, stop fighting. I'm really not hurting all that much, right? So anyways, I just remember this family to be the perfect American friendly family to me. Although we're all Chinese, we're all Taiwanese, we're all that, but you guys are American, and I didn't understand the concept of us not speaking the same language. And I would be lying on the couch and flipping TV channels, and I would be seeing I Love Lucy. I'm like, I love Lucy. And then I'll be reading the TV Guide back then, right? We know TV Guide, right? And I'm just like, how many TV programs do you have? It's a book of TV programs. What's going on with this country? So I was mesmerized by everything I was looking at in this country, in your household, you guys. I was thinking, wow, I want to come here and become a family like yours. So that was my first impression. But something I want to share with you also with my auntie is I think your dad is more liberal. I want to say that's how it struck to me. And they were just like, oh, this is Charlene's first trip in the United States. We're going to take her to New York City. We're going to take her to Broadway because that is cool, right? That is what you guys do in New York. You go to Broadway, right? So we should do that. So my uncle and auntie, they took me on the subway or train, whatever, into the city. And then I don't think your mom knew exactly what we're going to see. So we went in there, and it's a show called Oh Calcutta. Do you know? Does anyone know? So anyway, it's okay, somebody's laughing hysterically, you must know. So it's a show when all the actresses, they're completely nude on stage, but you don't see their parts. You don't see what you should be seeing. It's still very PG-13 or something because they have this towel. Because they just dance around in the towel. But when you throw the towel out their back, you only see their back. When you come back, it's wrapped. So I don't know. It's like a magic show for me. And then I think halfway through the show, your mom is so upset. We actually left, like during the show. Your mom just couldn't stand it, so we walked out. What happened? I want to see the show. It's not finished yet. And then your dad is like, what the hell just happened? Hey, I paid hefty for the show. And then we walked out outside the theater on the street. Your mom is like lashing out, going, this is my sister's daughter, and she's not even 20. She's barely 18. And you're taking her to the show, and your dad is like, what's wrong? What do I see? We saw nothing. You saw me naked at home. That's not even naked. So anyways, and your mom is just like, she could not understand how your dad can do that to me. Your dad is like, she's almost 18. What? Anything she hasn't seen before? Let me see. Have I seen it? I'm not sure. But that's beside the point. The point is, I see how they have different kind of. Your dad is more like, I should see the world. I should experience it. I should know it before everybody else does. But your mom is like, let's protect her. Let's protect her. That's very Chinese or Taiwanese of her. So I always feel like your mom is very protective, and she does the best she can to feed you well. I remember one of the feasts that I had for lunch. I look at all the dishes on the table, and there's only me. She's not even sitting there. There's only me, facing like 10 dishes. I'm like, what do you want me to do? And then she will come over here. This is her language skill. You're probably not going to understand the whole thing, but I remember vividly. She would be saying, and she would even bow to me like she's apologizing. Go, I'm so sorry, I make so much food for you. And then she, sumimasen, Charlene. That's Japanese. Sumimasen, Charlene. I know I prepare too much food. 对不起, 对不起. That's Mandarin. And then she said, if you can finish it, 没有关系. That's Chinese. And then 没有关系, just leave it. That's English. So I'm just like, how many languages in there already? I get confused, but that's how I see her. She's to me, she's always worried that she's not doing well enough, doing not good enough, not taking care enough for people. So for that, I really respect her, and I have charming and loving memories of my auntie, and they're together now.
Yeah.
They're together now. So I'm very honored to be representing the Huang's family, mom's family. She has another 5 siblings, and they're very close. Even though she's in the States, they are in contact, like always contacting each other, writing each other, calling each other. So I think that's hard to come by. A family physically so far apart, but in very dear terms all their lives. So thank you for allowing me to talk, and I would cherish this moment and report it back to Uncle Quentin. Thank you.
She used to be a news anchor for a TV station. That's why she's so eloquent.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeanette Raycard. My husband and I, Tom, have known Chun and Marilla since 1979. Chun and Tom were roommates at the UC Berkeley until I came along and broke them up. But ever since I've known Chun, it's always been very clear to me how important and dear family has been to him. His children, Marilla, his nephews, Julie, and especially his parents. I often observed with Chun his interactions with his parents. His father, of course, Chun respected and admired him. But with his mother, I always felt there was this real tenderness and closeness between them. I think with a lot of Chinese fathers, my own included, no matter how modern and liberal they wanted themselves to be or thought they were, you scratch the surface and wow, there's an old school Confucian Chinese father underneath. And I always felt that with Chun and his father, there was that respect, but with his mother, it's, pardon me, Chun, but you were her little boy. And I always thought that a lot of the gifts that his mother gave to Chun and to Julie was the thought that she had been essentially a citizen of the world. She was at home in different languages, in different places, and I think that is what she gave to Chun and Julie. Whenever I've talked with Chun, he went backpacking in Alaska. He had to wear a soda can full of rocks to scare the bears away. He worked in a fish cannery in Alaska. He went swimming in the Gulf of Mexico. He went here, he went there. He majored in molecular biology. He majored in computer science. And then he started yet another career as a filmmaker. And I think it's that openness that's the real gift that Chun's mother gave to them, to both of them. I often think Chinese ladies, they come in two flavors. One is, formal, very imposing, strike terror into those around them. The second, I think, was your mother. It's kind of a ama and guama to the world. You feel at ease with them. They welcome you. And every time I've met her, that was the feeling I had from her. She welcomed you. She would love to feed you, of course, but you were always welcome to her heart. And I think you'll miss her for a long time, but that will always be her gift to you. Your father, of course, was a man of great achievement. And your mother, I guess she might have been called a homemaker, which I think underestimates what she was, as if all she did was make a home. But to make a home in so many places to support your father and really be a driving force behind his success, behind your success, behind your children's success, that's her gift that will last forever. So I'm sorry for your loss. I know you'll miss her, but I hope she'll always stay close to you. growing up in a Chinese family, I don't know if it's all Chinese families or if it's just ours, but we didn't show emotion very much. We didn't hug, we didn't say I love you, any of those kinds of things. So when we moved to the United States and I started having American friends, and that's all they do. It's just, what is this hugging thing? You know, it was just very uncomfortable at first. You're like, right? and even my parents also had to get used to hugging and even hugging their own children. But eventually, we were like, hey, this isn't bad. This is actually kind of nice. And we never heard our parents say, I love you. But towards later years, you know, my mother would be saying that. And towards the end, she did say it all the time. And she did love the people that she loved, and particularly her grandchildren. She just adored her grandchildren, and we both had taken a lot of videos, VHS videos, as they were growing up, and she watched 24/7, just tapes of the grandchildren. It was just such a fulfillment for her. It gave her pleasure and joy. And I just want you all to know that she loved, and she'll be sorely missed. And her legendary food. Everybody who spoke is not exaggerating. She's a fabulous cook. But yeah, we'll just remember her as love. So, thank you so much for coming.
That's my job.
Hey, make me look taller.
Don't stand next to Matthew.
Why am I next to you?
I know, right?